Lord of mercy.
Hey, Jean. Hi,
Oh.
Gary.
Thanks everybody for joining us for another night of Southern Belle Bigfoot. I'm still getting used to that name. And like I said, a friend of mine suggested that name, and I thought it's just silly enough to be cute. so,
I think it's cute.
so I
It
thought,
suits you
well,
just fine.
why not just take them up on it? So, anyways, but yeah, I got this beautiful. I'm gonna show you, Levon. I'm so proud of this thing. This beautiful new computer.
Oh,
I
I like the
just got to
colors.
figure out how to do the free version of StreamYard on it. So once I do that, I won't have to use my telephone no more to do my
Okay.
show.
Yeah,
But
I'm on my phone right now, so if I wiggle, I apologize.
well, it looks real good. Like I have a real good picture. Anyways, thank y'all so much for joining us, Jean and Gary and Sparky. Hey, how you doing? Oh my gosh, Sparky.
Hi,
Today,
everybody.
hey dog, hey Phyllis, Lord of mercy, how precious. Thank y'all for joining us. Hey Bryant, love you, Bubba. That's my nephew Bryant. Y'all know about him.
Oh,
He lives in Georgia.
hey, dog.
Anyways, thank y'all for joining us. Levon, I have said your name and known about you for months now, and I was so excited to finally get you on. I've had text on one night just in a little discussion to see how my phone would do. And
Yeah.
I had already tried it out on my nephew. He let me film his hand for about 2 minutes. But anyway, um, I just wanted to get you on here and just ask some questions, and you ask me questions, and us just
Yeah.
have just a discussion. Cause I just love your way of thinking, and you have such a kind, gentle heart, and you know
Oh,
how I
thank you.
love people with gentle, kind hearts. And
Yeah.
so
And
I
right,
had
right
done.
back at you.
Thank you, girl. Anyway, but there is one thing that I just cannot figure out how to say. How do you pronounce your last name is correctly?
Oliva.
Oh, that's beautiful. I
Yeah.
said, Selena, you're going to say it wrong. I just know it. Holiva. Oh, that
Yeah.
is beautiful. So,
Yeah.
Levon Holiva.
Mhm.
Oh, wow, that's gorgeous. Okay. Hey, Mickey, how you doing,
I
doll?
had
Thank
my
you for joining us.
I had my husband's secretary a few years ago um correct me on how to pronounce my last name because I had asked for him and she was like, "You mean Oliva?" And I said, "No." She said Oliva, and I said, "No, Haliba." And she goes, "Well, it's Oliva." And I'm like, "Well, this is his wife and it's Haliba." And she's like, "Oh my God." She goes, "Mark has never corrected me, and I've been calling him Mr. Oliva." And he says, and he never corrects me.
If anybody would know, it would be you, right?
Yeah.
It's your name.
So she felt so
That's funny.
embarrassed.
That is so funny. Oh my lordy. But I said she is always her spirit. And you know how can just read people. Like um I was watching, which I seen your name on there by the way, said hello to you. But I was watching last night
Hmm.
uh with the group. Greg House was on that. Wasn't that so good? Lord of mercy. And I just loved, I think that Greg House draws people in. He
He
tells them
does.
his live stories, like what really happens to him and what he lives with these creatures around him. And
Yeah.
he just draws me in. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe the man sat there and that thing was on his roof and stopped right over his
Yeah.
recliner.
I can't
It's
even
like you
imagine.
can see slap through the top of the roof at him. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
scary. So I want Greg on here, and I said I got to get Levon on here, and there's quite a few that I want to have on here. And so I'm just now, like I said, I told people, I said, give me a little time, and I'll get this figured out. So
You will.
they've hung in there with me, and so.
You will.
But anyways, do you mind telling people a little bit about you and how you got to where you're at in the first place?
Um, I don't want to tell my age.
You don't have to tell your age.
I'm I'm 25.
And I'm 20.
No, I'm just kidding. I, I would not want to be 25 again. I was such a hot mess
Me
at
neither.
25.
Lord, me neither.
um,
Physical, yes, but not mentally.
I think I'm a little bit wiser now.
Oh,
Nah.
I don't want to go back.
um,
I'd love to have my physical body with my mental now.
exactly, exactly. I'm gonna try to hold this really still, so I do apologize for the wiggles because I probably make everybody dizzy. Um, well, I am part of the Pennsylvania Cryptid Research Team, and I got interested in Bigfooting. Um, Going on almost 2 years, getting close to summer will be 2 years. I went to a meeting with a Pennsylvania Bigfoot project, PA Bigfoot project, and told them my story that I had in Montana when I was 9. I actually cried because it just felt so good to just let it all out and be with like-minded people that understood, and they believed me. They confirmed and said, you know what, we do believe, you saw a squatch that day. um and then I asked, I did not know Bigfoot existed in Pennsylvania. I always thought he just existed, in Montana and further north, because I mean, unless you're looking it up like we all do now, researching and podcasting,
Yeah.
with technology now and social media. um I was amazed. I was absolutely amazed, and I asked, how do I go bigfooting? And they said, just get out there. And I always loved the outdoors, and my kids have been raised, always camping. um we camped in the desert though, because we were in California at the time, so we always camped high desert and did quadding, a lot of quads and dirt bikes. And but in Montana, and then when I moved to New York, we did a lot of camping. So I missed that camping, and decided, my husband and I decided, let's let's do this. And been doing it ever since. I'm hooked. I don't know if it's a good addiction. It's an expensive addiction.
That's what I
I,
hear.
and I think it's because the gas, paying for, especially if you go to like the group, if you go to the campsites, even though when you tent, it's not, that expensive, but the gas, the food, the wood, um, some of the gear that you need, different clothing, that kind of stuff. Um, and then finding the time to do it. But I absolutely love the woods. I loved them since I was a child. I always wandered off alone when we went camping, and I just don't know how that was allowed. I mean, that's like 50, not quite 50 something years ago, but
I don't think parents had to worry the way they do, you know.
I don't know. Like, I remember walking back when we went camping, and we got on our inner tubes and we threw them in the creeks and the creek, and walked back, and not realizing, 2 3 hours later, we're finally back to camp. And my mom's just like, oh, hey, there you guys are. Thought, geez, here I am, 8 years old. I've been missing for 2 hours.
Because
It's like,
I remember it used to be a lot more lenient as far as, our childhood, but parents these days, they have to worry so much with
they,
the
they do.
surroundings, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and
Unfortunately.
by the way, you're having a very cute hair day, just so you know.
Oh, you know what? I went and I had it cut 3 times, because each and every time, bless their hearts, they didn't cut it right. And then I asked again today, and I said, could you just take off these puppy dog ears? Just layer it a little bit. And I said, leave my bangs, give me a little bit more, don't cut them too short. And I felt her scissors way up here. And I'm like, oh. I was like, I just want to scream, but thank you. I'm thinking, you know what? It'll
It's
grow.
really it's cute. It really is.
It'll grow.
Anyway, I'm sorry for interrupting.
So,
I'll let you finish.
um, gosh, yeah. What I have 4 kids, and they're all supportive. My oldest son has gone bigfooting with me. My youngest son, Matthew, he's gone bigfooting um, with me, but he'll never do it again.
They must see, that's what people wanna hear. I'm gonna let you tell them
Yeah,
why
that was
your son
this.
won't go be footing again.
Yeah, because I don't think I got to say it on my other interviews. Well, I forget, but yeah, we went to an area where there was a dog man sighting in that area, and we were up, and it was just after it snowed. So, and we had to climb up high. The area that we went, we climbed up. We had to go up high, so it was pretty slippery. There was nobody out hiking. It was just him and I because it just snowed. So, um, and I kept telling him, and he's like, Mom, he's like, we're not alone. And I'm thinking, no. And I said, we're not alone. And I said, but I'm really shocked. And I said, Matthew is Matthew. I said, that I'm starting to feel these things. I said, I don't quite understand what I'm feeling right now. And I said, but we'll just keep going and see, we did find, matter of fact, okay, back it up. I looked up the hill and you could see a clear path up the hill and then slightly, going around the bend. When we made it up to that hill, now the whole time that we were walking up that hill, we were looking down because we were watching our footing to make sure that we don't, slip. And sometimes we had to go like with our hands and kind of to to hang on to the trees and stuff like that to get up there because it was very slippery. When we made it to the top, there was a fresh tree break. It was a twist. I have pictures of it and I did put it on my group. It was a fresh twist and it was bent over the path. And and I just said, and I go, did anybody pass us coming down? And he's like, no. And I said, this is really interesting. And I said, I didn't see this. And I said, we would have seen this break. And I said, from where we were. And he was like, yeah, he said, it is. It's odd. And I think I could feel that he was getting a little scared, but not too, not too bad. And we're up there and he's like, you could see his head just go whoop, like really quick and turn to the left. And he goes, what was that? And I said, I don't know. I'm like, what did you see? And he goes, something very large and thin and dark. He goes, just ran down the slope. And mind you, this slope it was just like straight down. And if you and I were to run it, we'd be rolling down it. We wouldn't be running it. We'd be rolling down it. And Matthew too. And and we just kind of stood there and he just said, he goes, oh, he goes, Mom, he says, we need to go. He goes, I don't like it here. I don't like what she's saying to me. I'm like, what? I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, she keeps saying, he goes, I'm just hearing my son, my son, my son. And he says, danger, my son. And I'm thinking, he goes, we need to go. He goes, we're getting too close. And I'm thinking, all right. So I kind of just stood there and I'm thinking, I just let it know. And I said, hey, and I said, we're leaving. And I said, if that was you, talking to my son, we hear you loud and clear. We're gonna head out of here. And as we're going down, I had to calm him down because he literally just wanted to get on his butt and just slide on down the hill. And I told him, I said, Matthew, kind of think of something different. And I said, let's just tell some jokes to each other. I said, you got to calm down. And I even text my husband and said, this is where we are. If we don't make it, come
Oh
looking
my
for us,
god.
because
How scared do you have to be to make that phone call? How
yeah,
scared do you
I
have to
did a text because I didn't want to upset my son anymore. So I
be?
figured I'm just going to send a text. Um, I had to keep calming him down, and I said, "Matthew, I know you're scared," and I said, "but if we run," I said, "we become prey." And I said, "And I think that's with all your apex predators." And I said, "We gotta walk." And I said, "Just walk and just be cool, man." I kept saying, "Be cool, man. Be cool."
Such a
you know,
cool woman.
'Cause I'm thinking I
A
do not
cool
want to
woman.
become bait, because this is um
Oh,
when we got down to the bottom, and I asked him, and I said, "How do you feel now?" And he goes, "She stopped screaming at me." And I said, "Well, okay, this is good." Um, but I was wondering the whole time if he meant when she apparently told him, because he said, and I said, "Well, how do you know it was a female?" And he goes, I could hear." He says, "Well, when she says my son, danger," he goes, "I'm just assuming," he goes, "I just got that awareness that it was a female." And I'm just wondering if maybe something was going on with her son, like if there was something going on, like was it reaching out to him saying, "Save my child."
Or it could have been just saying to itself, I got to get my baby away from these people.
Yeah,
Like, danger, my son. In other words, it was letting your son know that it had a child that it was keeping safe.
yeah,
Maybe that was, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Wow. That's
yeah.
pretty
So
scary to know that she said, my son, danger. So it might have been her saying it's mind speaking to your son, letting him know that she had a son and
yep,
she was taking care of it. Wow.
yep,
That
yep.
is so cool.
And this is the same area. Matter of fact, almost that exact spot on the opposite side of the trail is where, when I went back with another researcher, is where I spotted what I thought was a dog man. Yeah, the only difference was that it did not have pointed ears, like what some people say. They got the pointed ears, and the snarling
Mm,
snout. It was
yeah.
more, it was gray and white. The ears were like to the side, like bent over, and then the hair was flopped over. But you can tell that the ears were pointed, but they were bent down.
Like Jenny.
And yeah. Um, but this thing mesmerized me. I mean, it was like angelic looking. I could see the eyes blink, moved really gracefully, and it had like a white, big, thick gray, like, mane. Almost want to say like a lion's mane, or like a large husky, or even an Australian shepherd, the way that their hair is, but much fuller.
So,
Um,
Yvonne, are you saying that it was not a frightening creature to look at? Or are you saying that it was a pleasant
it was
creature to
very,
look at?
very pleasant, and I was
Hmm.
at ease. I was not afraid. Um, I gave the binoculars to the other researcher and told him to look. And as he was looking, I could see the figure like moving. And I was asking him, and I said, "Okay, is it moving? Is it turning, to its left?" And he said, "Yes." And he says, "It's going down." And you could just see it just moving really, really slow. And he said, as it turned, he saw black. And then, because he even said its snout was scrunched up. And I thought, now how did it change? Was it the shadows of the trees? Was it really not a dog, canine? Was it more squatchy, but just with the gray and the white? Um, and maybe the shadows made my eyes think that it was more canine, and then the coloring. I don't know. I can't answer that.
It
But
has you second guessing what you sing. Like it's like you know what you sing, but yet you still have a hard time describing it. It's the craziest thing. I know
yep,
what you mean.
yep.
Um,
To me,
but
it was just angelic. I was just like, I told everybody, I said I was more fascinated, and I said because it was just so peaceful. looking, and
So
it definitely did not fit the description of the gentleman who said um that he saw a dog man there. His description to me was made me think of the Owlbat witch. That was more like the Owlbat witch look, more scary and witchy and creepy and
that goes to show that not all Bigfoot look alike, not all
yeah,
dogmen look alike. And
yeah,
see, if I ever seeing Bigfoot was bad enough. So I can't imagine seeing a dog man, or even like the other night, I was talking to Tex, and
mm,
well, you seen it. We was just doing just like me and you, just having a conversation.
yeah,
And I want people to feel like they're just two friends sitting down for a conversation, having coffee instead of some kind of interview, because the word interview stresses me out.
yeah.
So
I know.
I just want to sit down with a friend. Anyways, but I was going to ask you, you felt no fear at all when you seen this
Absolutely
thing.
none. And neither did the researcher that I was with. We just continued to hike. Like, hey, let's go look and see if we find some more.
Yeah.
It was but I will tell you, because now, as we were going down the some people would say, well, did you go look for prints? Did you and something was saying, don't get any closer. That was close enough for me. Um and it's almost when I was looking at it, it's almost as if like, man, I've seen him before. Like, yeah, I know it. Yeah, I've seen him before, which I've never seen it before. In my dreams, yes, I've seen three of them in my dreams, but so I'm not saying that it knew me and I knew it or anything like that, but that's how it felt like. Oh, I see you. Like there was this awareness that I knew what it was. I knew of it. If that makes any sense.
Yes. You knew it was there, but you weren't intimidated or felt any fear.
Mm,
Well, that's the first time I've ever heard that. So it's really nice to hear that somebody didn't have the fear when they seen it. So
yeah.
we're going to get away from that for a minute. And I'm going to ask you a question. And the reason I'm going to ask you this is because every once in a while, even maybe as your teenage years on up, things happen. Now, nothing happened as a teenager, but things happened when I was in my 30s
Okay.
and my 40s and my 50s that I didn't quite understand. So now I'm not talking about the thing that appeared in the sky in January, and I ain't talking about what I just seen on the job in August. Um, I'm talking about the kind of thing where you know that something don't feel right and it don't make sense that just happened to you.
Yeah.
Well, my nephew on Halloween, Aunt Lena is what they call me. They just love to watch movies with Aunt Lena, and I love watching scary movies with my nieces and nephews, no matter how old they get.
Mhm.
But I've always been the fun aunt that scared them and told them scary stories. Well, uh, he called me and said, Aunt Lena, how about you come over here to Mama's, which was my mother, and watch Halloween movies with me, and Halloween night. And
Mhm.
I said, sure, I will. Well, early that evening, before I was even supposed to be there, he called me and he said, Aunt Lena, I've seen something I can't explain. Now, we're talking about a very manly, you know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
he's in his 30s and
Okay.
has a wife and a child. And he's a boat mechanic, and he's a mechanic on vehicles and speed cars, those cars that goes real fast. What do you call them? Would you race them and stuff?
Yeah.
Just a real smart, tough guy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
a husky, tough nephew of mine, and I say that meaning when I not that that matters, but I'm just saying I've never heard nothing like this out of his mouth. Let's put it like that. Like
Yeah.
he's a no nonsense, he's not gonna make up something like this. But he said, Aunt Lena, I just seen Papa Garrett standing at the kitchen sink. Well, Papa Garrett and my mother, mom and daddy, would stand at the kitchen. sink and look out the window and watch the birds because they had bird feeders everywhere. Well,
Yeah.
Daddy emphysema got bad and all this stuff, his health got real bad, and he would lean on the sink. Well, he was very strict. He was a preacher. And if we leaned on the sink, I remember him getting our goat. We couldn't lean on the sink as we washed dishes. You better straighten up and stand up when you washing dishes.
Yeah.
Don't you lean on that sink. So it was a very big deal that we not lean as we wash dishes. And so when my nephew told me he seen my daddy after he passed now on Christmas, by the way, that he seen him standing at the kitchen sink. I was like, okay, that okay. But I did, because unless you see things yourself, you just want to be supportive, but you can't picture it yourself, So you're like, okay, that okay kind of thing.
Mhm.
And, anyways, and he said, okay, I see him on the side of the hill. Now he's on the side of the hill, Aunt Lena. My daddy used to sit on top of the hill and it looked over a piece of property, which was my piece of property. At one time, I had my own home. Everything fell in. The ceilings fell in. My floors was everything was falling in. So I had to go ahead and just sell the property.
Mm.
I didn't have the money to build a new home, and it needed to be replaced. The floors was had flooded. The ceilings were leaking, and the toilet had already started leaning, and it was bad all the way around. So I had to go ahead and sell my property. But anyways, my daddy used to sit up on his and mama's property and he would look down at my house, just sit there on top of the hill and just look down at my house. And he said he was watching over me.
Oh, wow.
Well, when my nephew said, Aunt Lena, Papa's inside the hill right there, I thought, okay, something that's not, you know. But anyway, still put it out of your mind. You still put it out of your mind.
Yeah.
Anyways, me and my sisters met at my mother's one day, and Daddy hadn't been gone long at all. And it was a bunch of sisters and my mother. So there's five sisters and my mother. Well, mother's in her recliner on this side of the room, and the couch is across from mother's recliner. So you talking about five sisters trying to squeeze into that one couch. Anyway, and so I was the last one to sit down. And so I sit down, and when I did, somebody sit on my right knee, like I could feel their body just sitting on my right knee. And I jumped I jumped clear in my sister's lap. It was so real. It felt like somebody just sat down on my right knee. And I got scared to jump. When I did, I looked around because I knew, like I said, my family don't believe in no ghosts or nothing my family's just what you call strict Christians.
Yeah.
So I just looked around because I didn't want nobody to think I'm crazy, and I didn't mention a word. But I do remember that happening, but I just put it out of my mind.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest thing to my daddy at Christmas was the Bible, that Jesus was born, right?
Mhm.
So on Christmas morning, it was a big deal. Before we opened gifts or anything, the Christmas story was read by my niece, and all the family would just sit there and listen to it, and then we'd sing Christmas carols. Well, keep in mind, Daddy died on Christmas. Well,
Oh, sorry to.
right in the middle of her reading, about Jesus being born, every car alarm in my mother's backyard went off.
Wow.
Every single car alarm, right in the middle. And then we all took off to the backyard, was in the kitchen looking out that bay window. Mom and Daddy looks out of at the sink. And everybody's going, what? Is somebody breaking into the cars? And there sat this big, huge, fat red cardinal right there in the window. And
Wow.
my mother, which don't believe in ghosts or nothing, all of a sudden just busted out crying. And she said, look at that big, fat red cardinal. She
Gee.
said, that's your daddy. That's your daddy. He's visiting. Anyways, it was very emotional. And just things like that I couldn't quite make sense of. And I just wondered if maybe have you ever had an experience with anything other than Bigfoot that maybe you didn't quite understand, and but yet you knew something was going on? You know
Oh,
what I mean?
since I was a child.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it was like never it got to the point where it was never ending to where I just stopped talking about it. Um excuse me. When we moved from Montana to Florida, now so mind you, I was never afraid of the dark, being a child. Even though I had a nightlight, my mom put that nightlight in there. Um, the dark never really frightened me. I am not afraid to, walk outside when it's dark. Um, but my mom, we lived in a trailer, and this was in Florida, and I believe it was Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, good. Thank you, Levon. Listen, y'all, Levon may have to, if anybody has any questions,
Oh,
Levon may have to read them. I'm doing this by phone until I can get my
yeah.
StreamYard hooked up. So I can't see the little writing very good. So,
Oh,
Levon, if you see a question, answer it, darling.
oh, okay. Oh, Dawn, where in Florida is this guy? I don't live in Florida. I live in Pennsylvania right now. I am in what is the southeast Pennsylvania. But this is the story I'm talking about now. We were in Florida at this time. I was a child. I think I was 11, 10. I don't know. But this trailer just kind of gave me the creeps. But I remember sleeping at night, and I'd always roll up like a burrito because I could sense something in the bedroom. I sensed it walking. You could almost, when somebody walks by your bed, you feel it nudge.
Mm.
You can feel the pressure, and I felt that.
And even when they sit on the end of it, and yet there's nothing there.
I curled up, and I'm thinking, and I did
You
this,
froze
and
up, Levon.
I was looking out like this with my eyes, and I'm just watching it go this way, and it was just like just dark shadow. Like it didn't even
Oh
have
my
form.
God.
So I couldn't even say it was a person. It was just a shadow that moved and then moved to the other side of me. And I'm thinking, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. um, it got in bed with me. And the only reason why I knew it got in bed with me is because when someone gets in bed with you and you're on your side, and this was a queen size bed, no, a twin size bed, you roll a little bit. And it caused me to roll backwards.
Oh my Lord, that would scare me to death,
Yeah.
Levon.
And I'm thinking, I'm like, "Mom!" I screamed for my mom, and I was like, and I called it a demon or a boogeyman. I think it was I called it a demon. And I said, "It's in my bed. He's in my bed." And I said, "He's behind me." And she's like, "Go to sleep. Stop it, or I'm gonna shut the door. Like, go to sleep." I'm thinking, oh man. So I think it was like the third night. I kept telling my mom about this, and I just gave up. Figured I think I even cried a little bit before I went to sleep because whatever it was behind me, it just didn't feel like good. Um, but then I still just went to sleep. But the next morning I got up and I was telling my mom about it, and I said that I had a dream. I said I had a dream. I said that this demon thing came in, and and I was saying, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done." And I said it really super fast. And
Yeah.
she's like, "Stop just for a second." She goes, "Where did you read that?" And I said, "Read what?" And she goes, "You just said the Lord's Prayer." And I thought, well, I don't know what it was, Mom. I didn't read it anywhere. I'm like, just saying that's what I was saying in my dream. And we've never been to church. My mom has never taken me to church. Uh,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. So how I knew that, I don't know, and I said it really super fast, you know,
Wow.
um, and then the next night, it was gone. I hadn't sensed that thing or whatever it was ever again. So I don't know, and I know I spoke with a couple of people, and and they're saying how God will put he'll give you, the right things to say, when you ask. I'm thinking, well, I didn't even know to ask God. Like I didn't even know, you know.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, Laverne, that blows me away. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah, that was pretty amazing. But I think it's, I'll sometimes I'll see things, I'll see somebody walking, and then it disappears. Um, sometimes I can be sitting and I'll smell cigarette smoke, and looking around, I'm thinking, well, nobody's like, there ain't nobody smoking around here, and it's like real intense. Perfume, I'll smell like a really strong, like cologne. I'll get sulfur, um, cold air. Just the other night, because our house is, I'm telling you, it's haunted. We've got some creepiness going on around here, but I don't feel like it's negative, so I just kind of ignore it. Now it's probably sitting here going, "Well, you're talking about me." Like, you're talking
You've
about
had
me.
it you've had it tonight. It's gonna scare you tonight.
I'm thinking I got a ghost up here. um, I just, I told my husband, I'm like, "Do you feel something very cold right now?" And he goes, "No." And I'm like, "Put your hand over here." I said, "It's right next to me." I said, "It is so cold." And he was like, "I don't feel anything." And I thought, well, it's really, really cold. And I said, "I don't know what it is." And then eventually it went away. So I'm thinking, okay, well, whatever you were, I'm like, you went away. I'm thinking this in my head. It's like you went away. But I've seen him at Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh my
Like
goodness.
sitting at a bench, and then I go to look and I'm like, it's gone. Um, I think the latest one that I seen that was really clear was that Native American in my Bigfoot area that we're researching. And I seen that one after playing the native flute music, because we were just hanging out. And I figured, let's just hang out here. We sat on like some trees that had fallen over, and I started to play the native flute. We sat there for a good half hour, and as we were sitting there, now I mean it could be very coincidental. I don't know, but it was pretty fantastic. In a circle, like around us, leaves were falling like drapes, like in a circle. And I even told my husband, and "Do you see all the leaves falling around us, but they're not falling on our head, and they're not falling anywhere else?" And he was like, "Yep." And on the way out, I saw something in the tree, so I had to go do a double take, and it was a Native American, and he was looking down, because he probably, I want to say, at least 20 feet up in the branches. And because at first I thought, was that a Bigfoot, that climbed a tree? But it was a Native American, and I don't know if he was hanging or if he was just literally looking down at us. But I felt very much at peace. Had a little sense of giddiness, and we just walked out. And my husband seen me do a double take, and I didn't talk about it until later in the evening when I told my son, because he was talking about things that he used to see when we went past Borrego Springs in California. He would see him alongside the road. Um, and my husband's like, next time this happens, he says, "Can you tell me about it, please?" He says, "So I can see it." I'm like, "Oh, absolutely." I said, "I just didn't think you would have been able to see it." And I said, "Because it's, when I did a double take, I seen it. And then when I looked back again, it was gone." So but I actually had to ask one of my Native American friends, was this okay that I played the flute? And she said, "Absolutely." She says, "Absolutely."
I
And
love flute. I've
yeah,
played it just to try to just
yeah,
relax and go to sleep. That's how much I love hearing a flute. I think it's so pretty.
yeah. She said that it's absolutely okay. And she goes, "And you just woke the spirits. That's all." She goes, "You just woke them." And
Wow.
I guess to consider, to feel blessed that they allowed me to see them. You know, I honestly, I don't know. It's I've tucked it away for so long, And then that since I started doing this Bigfooting thing, it's like everything is just coming to surface like a lot more. And I don't know if it's Bigfoot related. I honestly do not know, or if it's because I just let my guard down. I don't
Maybe it's
know.
just all coming to light. Because, I mean, all these things that I've watched on TV for years and never been scared of, and I just love anything, that's like puts you on the edge of your seat, which now I love investigative shows, but I still love a good scary movie. But it never scared me. And
Yeah,
people would say, "How do you do that?" And I'd say, "I don't know. I just never was scared of scary movies. I did all my shopping at night. My daddy couldn't stand it. He'd say, 'Selena, Denise, you better be careful shopping at night. People are dangerous.'" And I said, "I know, but I just, I don't know. I just didn't, I don't know. I had no fear. I had no fear. And which didn't mean I thought I was invincible. That's not it. I
yeah,
just didn't have fear to go shopping at night. Like I didn't, think it would happen to me, as they say.
yeah,
That if anything is gonna happen, it won't happen to me, I guess. And so I did, like I said, everything at night. But anyways, and now I think, what in the world was I doing? I mean, because in other words, I just did. I threw caution to the wind and lived like they wasn't nothing gonna happen to me. And the whole time, I put myself in some awkward situations, some bad situations
yeah,
throughout my life. And of course, you can't go back and take them back. But you can, the older you get, think about it and not ever do that kind of craziness again. But anyways, my
yeah.
mother, like I said, lived on the hill and I lived down the hill. And on her side of her hill, she had some steps, very steep steps. Well, uh, we knew the family that lived there before we moved in. Of course, I was little when we lived across the road, but then I think I was 12 when we moved to the house over here. And
Mm-hmm.
then I bought the house down the hill as I got older. But, anyways, so this girl that lived on top of the hill, her last name was Hanson. I'll never forget because we went to school with her brother and her sisters.
Hmm.
Anyways, and she undoubtedly was a young girl. Uh, let's see I want to say 11 or 12 or something. Anyways, and she was just rushing down the hill, and of course, Keysburg is a busy street. It's just a busy street. It's right there off the highway,
Yeah.
off 431 in Glencoe. And anyways, she stepped, I guess, run down the steps and got hit by a car.
Oh no.
Well, my friend come over and she was helping me decorate my lamps. She was showing me how you could cover them with pillowcases and make little designs and stuff. And
Yeah.
and I was just taking pictures. Now this is, I think I was in my 40s when this happened. But anyways, my early 40s. But I was just taking pictures to show her how cute the lamps looked, because she went on home and I just thought how cute. And I'm going to show her a picture of how cute they turned out and what it looks like. So I took a picture, and when I did, it looked like a little girl, hair and all, sitting right
Oh,
there beside me. And I
oh,
was like, but what proof do you have? Because I mean, it just looked like the shape of a little girl. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
That's
Uh,
amazing.
and
Kind of
and I
scary.
thought,
Kind of creepy.
well, because you know what a little girl's shape looks like right beside you,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's going to be your shape, but a small one. You
Yeah.
know. And I thought, oh my gosh, that looks weird.
Yeah.
Well, there's a picture back here on the wall. I'm gonna show you, and the reason I'm gonna show you is because you're not gonna believe this, but anyways, I went to an estate sale. Now, y'all tell me what you think about this because I had to have it. It was weird. I went to an estate sale, and out of all the stuff they had, I bought this picture. Do you see how old it is with the frame? Can anybody see that?
Oh yeah.
She's standing in what looks like a garden. Do y'all see her face?
She's
And
got black eyes.
hold on. Oh, hush, Levon. Why did you say?
I'm like,
Lord have mercy,
I'm backing
Levon.
up.
I
I'm
could
like,
have
it's
done
got
without you.
black eyes.
Levon, I didn't think a thing
All I
about that
saw was,
picture.
I'm going to tell you, this is what I
You
saw.
said it's got black eyes.
I saw
I
this.
was,
Think of this as
I
all
was
black.
just going. I was just going to tell you that that picture's old as the hills. Well, I got to thinking, and I had heard on the antique show that if you check up underneath pictures, people up in age, and you tell me if I'm wrong, they will put money in places that you least expected. And I thought, first of all, who would have sold one of their family portraits?
Yep.
So I want to go over there and see, first of all, what's behind that picture, see if there's anything under it, right? Because, you never know.
Mm.
And so I go over there and I take the picture off, and up under it is an even older picture of a
Oh,
little baby. It's a little baby under that picture. And I was like, who could sell these photos? Who would sell family photos? Anyway, so it's bothered me all these years that somebody would even sell their own family photos. But I just had to have it. She's just standing there in the garden all by herself, and she just looks so, I don't know. And I just thought, I'm going to get that. And
yeah.
I'm so glad I did up until you said it looks like it's got black eyes. So thanks, Levon. Thank you. Thank you. And
That's
you got to
perfect.
remember, I keep wanting to say Lanita because I have Lanita and Levon and Levita. So I've got so many Lanita, Levita, Levon. Anyways, so, but yeah, I've never thought anything negative about that picture until you just said the black eye thing. So, oh my gosh,
That's what
Levon.
I'm seeing through the phone. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure if I was there and I saw it in person, I would see what you're saying.
Oh
But
my
all I just
gosh.
saw was this thing
Miss
looking
Dunn,
down
you
and
could be kin
black
to that person in the picture. Lord Mark, these I bought it from a little estate sale in Glencoe at a real pretty house. Everything in the house was real pretty. And I bought some cookware, some boilers, and some skillets, and that. And that's
eyes.
been quite a few years ago. But Mark said I might be kin to her. Well, I don't think so. She's skinny, and our family's chunky. Every one of my family members is chunky. But anyways, so we sure love to eat junk. And I wasn't kidding at all. I told my baby sister, I said, listen, because see, like I said, they're all so strict about not believing in ghosts and none of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I told my baby sister, I said, sister, if there is any way possible, I will come back and I will be watching and visiting you. And I said, you know me, I'll be the one playing jokes on you. I said, so just remember if you smell Hershey's chocolate and Frito Lay potato chips, that's me coming to visit you because I'll be eating those in the afterlife if they're available. Oh my Lord. Anyways, I love potato chip. That's what's gonna get me in trouble. That and bluebell ice cream. Have y'all tasted of Millennium Crunch? Bluebell Millennium Crunch.
Mm-mm.
Good Lord, girl, it is so good. Oh my gosh. I just weighed myself this evening, and I said I've got to lose. I'd like to lose 50, but I need to at least lose 40. And I can't do that as long as these companies are in business. So I need to write them and say, please go out of business so I can lose weight. Anyway,
I just
listen,
eat meat. I mean, I lost 35 pounds just eating meat. No sugar, just
I
strict
love
meat,
meat. I
eggs,
love it.
and a lot of bacon, a lot of
Lavon, they're wanting to know if you can see chat. They're
what?
wanting to know if you can see it. They said, I wonder if Lavon can see chat.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
It's just moving pretty
Um,
fast. Yep, I can.
Yeah, Catherine asked if you could see chat, and
Yep.
of course, if I touch it, it goes berserk. Remember how when I try to read it, it goes all over the place.
Yeah.
So, if there's any interest, or not interesting, if there's any questions, we'll answer them. But Lavon has to tell me. 'Cause because I'm telling y'all, when I try to touch it to read it, it goes everywhere. It
Yeah.
starts back over and all that stuff. So,
And
but
I'm
I
looking
do
at
have
my
somebody that's going to help me with my computer to set up StreamYard. So that's good. So just hang in there, guys.
I know I'm
Go
looking
ahead,
at
Laverne.
myself in here and I'm thinking I look like don't get all weird, but I feel like my girls are like way down in my belly button. And I think, is it the shirt? Like, what's going on? I'm like, what? Like, why do I look so like my neck's all small, my head's all small, my body's like this? It's like
It just may be the design of the shirt.
it's probably
But now, but if anything like me, when you get to my age, you girls is all over the place anyway. But okay, let's go on with something else. Let's see. All right. Has anybody got any questions for Lavon now that I'm thinking about that? Let's see, Don. Oh no, a blessing and a curse. It's that close. Um, okay. Let's see. It's like I can read certain things and then my eyes go blurry and everything runs together. Yeah, I think my sister thinks I need to be checked for cataracts.
oh.
I said, geez, I'm old. Anyways, but so you said that kind of stuff's been happening to you and for years since you was a kid, and I have always loved just the fly by your seat of your britches, as my daddy would say.
Yeah.
Um,
I've had
and so
near death experiences. Um My mom
if
always said I had
anything,
9 lives because I've been injured so much. You know, I
like,
had
Levon, answer me this: is there anything that you don't mind talking about? Like, is anything? If I ask you to speak about maybe something that happened to you that was near death, would that bother you to talk about it? Maybe give me one example of how bad it got.
the near death one.
Uh-huh.
Or, oh gosh, um, I don't know if the very first time. Like I've had so many accidents to where I don't know how I survived. You know, I know I had to be brought back. Like I was drowned. A little boy, or not a little boy, a boy was standing on me at the bottom of the pool. And all I remember is going under. And then when I came to, I was outside the pool and there was a lifeguard, there and doing, whatever he has to do, coughing up water.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh.
I've had, but the near death experience one, when I was riding my horse, she was acting up on the way home. And I just figured, you know what, I'm going to stay on. If you know what, like someone tells you a story, you can see the location and what's around, even if a cryptid was there. Come on. Would you be a reader? Like if someone tells you a story, you can see the location. I don't know. That would be kind of cool. I could try, Dawn. But yeah, actually, I get a pull in my stomach when there's something. That's how I find my tracks, my Bigfoot tracks. I'm answering Don Moore's question real quick.
Did you
Uh,
say you get a pull, a
I
physical
get a
pull in
pull
your
in my
stomach?
stomach, like a magnetic pull.
Oh, huh.
And that's how I found Prince. We've been driving along and I told my husband, "Can you stop right here?" And he's like, "Yep." I said, "Back up the Jeep a little bit." And he's like, "All right." So he backs it up. I get out and I go down the ravine and look. And I said, "Do you want to come down here and look real quick?" And he's like, "Yeah." Here goes my wife again. I said, "What does this look like?" And he goes, "Prince." I says, "I got like barefoot prints." And he says, "Yes." And I think this one at that time was, I think that one was like 16 inches. Um, it was just going off into the woods, and I didn't see it. I just felt it, And I don't know if I'm picking up the past, or they're still their presence, their energy. Like, did they just come through there? That kind of thing. That I don't know. It's all new to me. I'm actually like dumbfounded. I think about it. I'm thinking because I didn't quite the pulls I used to get when I was a little girl, but I always ignored that because I didn't know what it was, you know, until I started realizing, like, okay, I think these things, I think this means something, you know.
Well, I think it's almost as if they're trying to nudge us into telling us, "Hey, I'm giving you these feelings so that you'll be more aware of what's going on around you.
Yeah,
Something is happening right now that's not normal." And
yeah,
so that feeling we get, well, it's like Oprah when she said, "Girls, when you get that feeling that oh my gosh, this may not end up right, or maybe I should take a right to go down this street instead of taking a left right here. Go take a right immediately. As soon as your brain says take a right, take a right. There's a reason. And it's that uh-oh moment.
yeah,
There's a reason that your conscience is telling you right quick, take a right instead of going left.
yeah,
Because you may have a wreck down that road, or there may be something that's dangerous down
yeah,
that road. But it was Oprah years ago that opened my eyes as far as to go with your first instinct, like when you first make your mind up and something tells you to change it after you've made your mind up, you better do it because something is waiting on the other side that's not going to be good if you don't follow your gut. It's
yeah,
that gut feeling, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
anyways, well, I'm going to let you tell your last story. You can choose whether it be you've
Oh,
seen a Bigfoot, you can choose whether it be about your personal, you can choose
oh,
whatever it's
the
about.
I'll go back to the near death experience. I was again riding a mare, and she was just being a mare, being naughty. When I got back home, all I remember is getting ready to dismount. I removed my helmet, and I remember tossing it down onto something, and I was getting up to dismount, and that's all I remember. But I remember waking up in my son's arms and taking like a like a big breath like this, and but my son said that when he got to me, my eyes were in the back of my head. All he could see was the whites of my eyes. He says, and you weren't breathing. He says there was no pulse or nothing. And that he shook me. He said that he just really started shaking me, going, "Mom, mom, mom," and shaking me. And then he said that's when I came back. He said, but as I was gasping for air, my husband said that I was fighting. That like as almost I didn't want anybody around, or I didn't want to come back or something. He said, he goes, you were just fighting us. Like you didn't want to be bothered or touched. And I don't remember that. But when I told the doctor, because I had 5 broken ribs, a torn spleen, a punctured lung, um, and a severe gash, like my skull and the back of my head. My head was split open pretty good. I think it was a good 6 inches.
Oh my
Uh,
God.
yeah. And I had like internal bleeding, along with the torn spleen. My lung hasn't healed correctly, so I still got like a partial collapsed lung. But I told the doctor, and he says, "Do you remember anything?" And I said, "I remember laying in a field." I said, like magenta flowers. And I said, it was so beautiful there. And I said, I don't know where this field was. And I said, but I don't think I have magenta flowers. I said, it's all dirt where we live. And I said, and then the sky, I said, the sky was so blue and it just went on forever. And yes, our sky goes on forever, but in this point, you could see that you could see that it just went on forever. Like you could see through the sky and it just kept going.
You may
Uh,
have visited heaven.
yeah, the doctor says that. He goes, I think you might have had a near death experience. He said, young lady. At the time I don't know how old I was, but I was young, uh, younger. But my son, when my son told me, no, mom, he goes, you were not breathing. You were gone. You were dead, mom. He says, you were dead. And I'm thinking, oh, well, you brought me back to life, son. And till this day, I cannot remember I don't remember what happened. I don't know if I got off and she kicked me, if she bucked me and I was thrown. I have no clue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
That
I have
that
no.
right there is a pretty scary story listening to that alone, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Oh
yeah.
my gosh, thank you so much for sharing your story,
Um,
and, she has so much more to tell. I just love her to pieces. Thank y'all so much for joining us. Is there anybody, that has a question for Lavon before she goes? And like I said, I'm so tickled that she even I know, it is crazy.
yeah.
I know. So I'm sitting here watching and looking at miracles. What I'm sitting here looking at, Lamont.
They're all talking about ice cream. I'm gonna go have some now. I don't need
Oh,
it.
anyways, no questions. Yes, we thank you so much for being here, y'all. Thank y'all so much for joining us and
Thanks
enjoying
for
the show with me because I have just ate it up. I'm even caught myself at the end of my seat, leaning in closer, and that's when you know it's interesting. Anyways, Lamont, we love you so much. Thank
oh,
you so much for coming,
right.
and y'all have a good night.